All right, all right. Welcome in, my friends. Good to have you guys joining me here on a Wednesday night Mount Polumbus Speaks episode. We got some things to dive into tonight as the Broncos have made their final cuts to get down to their 53-man roster. They also have signed all 16 of the available players to their practice squad. There is, in theory, one more spot available on the practice squad, but if they wanted to use the 17th spot, it has to go to an international player. So we'll dive into all of that. There was some news out of Boulder, the most shocking cut of the day yesterday, right before the cut deadline. The timing of this was seriously unbelievable. Literally right before the cut deadline in the NFL, CU puts out a tweet that Ralphie 6, excuse me, Ember, after 4 seasons of service as college football's greatest mascot, Ralphie has been sent out into retirement. She will be hanging out with the previous Ralphie and getting well fed, hanging out in the pasture, living her best life. Ember didn't want to run. Ember did her best. But we'll talk about all that and break it all down for you guys, everything that I know about what's going on. The next Ralphie, when can we expect the next Ralphie? And unfortunately, it looks like the Buffs will be playing Friday night without running behind a new Buffalo because the new Ralphie is not going to be ready to rock and roll yet. So anyways, before I get into all that, though, as always, need to take a quick second here to thank my title sponsor, Safeway. Couldn't do this podcast without my friends over at Safeway. They've been an incredible partner of mine for a very long time and been working with them on and off in various aspects, charitable aspects, business aspects now for 7 or 8 years. And they're an incredible local grocery store. You really can taste the difference when you shop at Safeway. They support local small businesses, so know that when you shop at Safeway, you're supporting local small businesses and local produce. They cut their fruit fresh in store every single day, and they also have an incredible app that if you don't have on your phone, you need to download today because you need to skip all the other delivery service apps, order directly on the Safeway app. They make it super easy. They save your orders so you can repeat orders if you want, literally put zero effort into it. Add 2 or 3 items if that's what you want to do. And either way, if you want to get that food delivered to your door, then you can order it online, and before you bat your eye, it will be at your doorstep. Okay. So listen, the last 24, 48 hours, I could take myself back as a young rookie when I was able to make the team, but certainly was not sure of it. And the anxiety that I was going through, it's not fun, man. So, this is a stressful period for a lot of players in the NFL. A lot of players played their last down of football ever over the weekend or the previous weekend, and it's tough life. Broncos had a handful of players that were cut off of their team and picked up by other teams, which is always a good sign. Last year there were only, don't quote me on this, but there were only like 16 or 17 players league wide that were claimed off of waivers. And this year that number nearly doubled. Actually, it over doubled, as I believe there were over 30 players that were claimed. And Broncos had a handful of those players, which was cool to see. They ended up with 4 players that ended up on another team, and one of those did not have to go with their waivers because he was a vested veteran. But that's actually a pretty healthy sign of where this Denver Broncos football team is at, that you've got that many players that are getting claimed, whereas last year there was nothing to get claimed. So if you don't know how the waiver wire works, if you don't have 4 years of service in the NFL, anybody that gets cut has to go through a 24-hour waiver period. What does that mean? It means that any other team in the NFL can literally claim your current contract. So meaning, hey, we will take on Tyler Polumbus and we will pay him exactly what he was getting paid previously from the Denver Broncos. And If you get claimed by multiple teams, then you have to go to the team with the worst record. You've got no choice about it. There were a couple of small surprises for the Broncos, but honestly, in the big picture, nothing of real note to really dive into with you guys tonight in terms of Broncos cuts. I mean, I'm going to tell you all about them, and I'll tell you who made the practice squad for the Broncos. The only cut that really caught us off guard was Lavelle Bailey, who is an inside linebacker on this team. Lavelle Bailey is a dude that was running with the ones for multiple weeks throughout training camp. When Dre Greenlaw got hurt, when Alex Singleton got hurt, Bailey got thrust in there to the lineup with the ones, and a lot of people are ranting and raving about his performance early on in training camp, including myself. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it was anything that like I was dropping my jaw at, but for a young player that was just undrafted a year or two ago, Bailey was doing a really good job of stepping in there. Almost everybody had him on their 53-man roster, but the Broncos ended up cutting him in large part due to the fact that undrafted rookie, the only undrafted rookie to make the team this year, Kyrese Rowan, he ends up making the team at the inside linebacker spot. Sean Payton ended up saying afterwards that part of the reason why they ended up keeping Rowan over Bailey was because there was so much interest league-wide in their undrafted player that a lot of times when it comes down to it, when you play this game, you say, okay, we could still maneuver down the road, so we can still cut guys at any point. We could put them on the practice squad at any point, elevate from the practice squad, bring them up to 53. You'll play roster manipulation games the entire season. But sometimes you end up just cutting the dude that you think is going to be easier to get on the practice squad because you know that they got to go through waivers. And you know that if you cut Rowan, well, you've heard through the grapevine that there's a handful of teams that are already going to cut, that are going to, already going to claim him. Easy for me to say. So you ended up cutting Bailey, which was a surprise, but the Broncos did end up bringing back Bailey onto their practice squad. The Broncos practice squad, like I said, has got 16 players, and I'll go through them all here in a minute, but the one name that is kind of shocking that ends up on the Broncos practice squad is Sam Ehlinger. So Sam initially looked like he was going to make the 53-man roster. It was down to the wire. I believe Sam was the very last cut that the Broncos made, and it looked like the Broncos were getting ready to carry 3 quarterbacks again this year. By the way, this is a live broadcast, so if anybody wants to be interactive, send in your comments, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on YouTube. They will pop up live on screen, and we can interact throughout the broadcast here. So if you've got any questions about the Broncos' moves, any comments, if you think the Broncos made any mistakes, send it in. It'll pop up live on screen, and I can interact with you guys. But anyways, back to Sam Ehlinger. Sam is a guy that a lot of people thought might make the roster. Now, here's the story coming out about Sam that is borderline hard to believe. I mean, I'm not calling the Broncos reporters liars. I'm sure they've got good information on this. It's just so crazy, it's hard to believe. So the report with Sam is that he had multiple offers to go join a 53-man roster. Now, Sam is a vested veteran, so that means he did not have to go through the waiver wire. So no team could just claim him. No team could force him to come play for him. What's up, Steve? Good luck with your online poker there, buddy. No team could claim Sam's current contract. He got to choose his next destination. And the report is that Sam had multiple teams offer him a spot on the 53-man roster to be the number 3 quarterback on their team. And I guess the report is, if you want to believe everything that you hear, that Sam declined multiple offers to be on a 53-man roster and come back to this Denver Broncos practice squad. So Sam is your headliner of this Denver Broncos practice squad. Now, why do I bring all this up? And why do I say that it's borderline hard to believe? Again, I'm sure the reports are accurate. I'm just telling you, I don't necessarily understand the logic behind it. And the only way that I can understand the logic is if Sean Payton and the Broncos told Sam, hey, you are temporarily on this practice squad, and then we're going to elevate you to the 53-man roster. So give us a week or two, and then we're going to elevate you to the 53-man roster. Why would they do that? Because if a vested veteran is on the opening day roster, if you end up cutting him at any point of the season, one point in your career, a player can collect his full salary and guarantee his salary for the year. So by putting him on the practice squad for week 1, they can bring him back in week 2, cut him in week 8, do whatever they want. They've got flexibility without guaranteeing his contract. The amount of money that Sam, in theory, is declining here is very significant. So practice squad salaries are way up from when I played in the NFL. When I was playing in the league, dudes were making like $70,000 to $75,000 playing in the practice squad. Nowadays, they're making a significant amount of money, over $200,000. Now, you can pay the guys a little bit more if you want, but there's a max on the amount that you can pay them. The maximum amount that you can pay anybody on the practice squad is $396,000. So if the Broncos are going to pay Sam the maximum amount that he's allowed to get paid, he'll get about $400,000. Sam is in year 5 in the NFL. As a 5th-year player in the NFL, why would he do that if he knows he's just going to get cut later? Well, that's what I'm diving into here, buddy, because it's a very unusual situation, and I don't really understand the rationale on it, and that's why there's a part of me that's like, do I even believe these reports or not? But check this out. So not only does he run the risk of getting cut down the road, as you just pointed out, but because he's a 5th-year player, if there really were other teams out there that offered him a spot on their 53-man roster, the league minimum for a 5th-year player is $1.1 million. So let's say the Broncos are paying Sam Ehlinger the maximum amount they can, just a shade under $400,000. The net difference between what he would be making on a 53-man roster somewhere else versus playing here in Denver on the practice squad, $700,000, man. That's a whole lot of dough. That's a whole lot of do-re mi, man. I don't get it. So Sam's either the most loyal dude in the world. He's got all the money that he needs, and $700,000 isn't that much money to him, which isn't true because you could look up how much Sam has made over the course of his career, and it's significant. It's nice for sure, but he hasn't made the kind of money that you decline $700,000. That's for sure. Or the Broncos have promised him, hey, it's just 1 week that you're on the practice squad, and then we're going to elevate you, and you'll be our 3rd quarterback. So I am going to not be surprised at all if in week 2 Sam gets elevated from the practice squad up to the 53-man roster. Nowadays, see, when I was playing, hardly any team ever carried 3 quarterbacks on the active roster. It was very, very unusual. If it happened, you had serious injury concerns, or you had a starter that you just didn't believe in. Broncos don't have either one of those. But now the rules are different. So there's a stupid rule in the NFL that to this day I literally don't even understand why it exists. But you have to deactivate 7 players from your 53-man roster on game day every single week. So of your 53 that is getting paid active money, only 46 can be dressed and available to rock and roll. Should the Broncos go after Isaiah Simmons? Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know where he's at this point in his career, but because of the familiarity, it would make sense. And he certainly plays a spot that the Broncos could use a little bit of depth at. But I was starting to say, so why do teams carry 3 quarterbacks on their active roster now? Because you've got the 46 that are dressed and available on game day. You've got 7 that are wearing street clothes. Even though they're getting paid active money, they're wearing street clothes. NFL changed a rule that you can now dress an emergency quarterback but he has to be on the 53-man roster. So you can now dress 3 quarterbacks on game day, and it doesn't count against your 46. So that would technically be your 47th player that is dressed and available on game day, but it can't be a practice squatter, which is why I think the Broncos might activate him down the road. Broncos carried 3 quarterbacks all year last year, so it might just be Sean Payton's deal. And heck, if Sam ends up on the practice squad long term, then I'm just going to roll my eyes at these reports that there were teams that offered him a spot on the 53, because that just makes no financial sense why Sam would turn down an extra $700,000. No, nobody's turning down $700,000. Names that made the Denver Broncos practice squad. Pretty much all names that you know. Pretty much all Denver Broncos. So Sam Ehlinger, offensive lineman Calvin Throckmorton, Jaden Robinson, a corner, Jordan Miller, D lineman, Jordan Turner, inside linebacker, Reese Taylor, Michael Bandy, who's been a camp favorite for about 3 straight years now, fullback Adam Prentice. That was an interesting decision. Michael Burton, your fullback, sounds like he's going to miss the entirety of the season. So I was wondering if Adam Prentice would make the team. They put him on the practice squad. As of now, Broncos do not have a fullback on the roster. Wide receiver A.T. Perry made the practice squad. Inside linebacker Lavelle Bailey, the dude that I've already talked about a lot. Broncos brought him back on the practice squad. Joe Michalski, offensive lineman. Garrett Wallow, another inside linebacker. Delaren Turner-Yell, Quentin Newsom, and Kadron Smith. That is your 16-man practice squad for the Denver Broncos. When is the release of Mount Polumbus List workout? Appreciate it. Shout out. I've been in the gym like crazy. Pretty soon here, I'm going to have to stop wearing sleeveless. That's going to be a sad day. I'll probably still wear sleeveless anyways, because if you got it, you got to flaunt it. Where was I going? I was going somewhere. Dang it. You got me distracted by my beautiful muscles. What was I saying? The Broncos they're carrying 3 inside linebackers on the practice squad, which is a little bit interesting because it goes to show you that they are concerned about their inside linebacker room. With Drake Greenlaw and his injury history, Alex Singleton banged up, Justin Stranad makes the team, and your undrafted rookie ends up making the team. So you do have 4 guys on the active roster, but because there's 3 on the practice squad, which is unusual for sure, especially at that position, it goes to tell you that the Broncos are concerned about their long-term health in the inside linebacker room. So that's kind of the gist of it, everything that the Broncos had going on. One other thing that came out yesterday was literally right before the waiver wire. I couldn't believe this. The Buffs put out a tweet that Ember, Ralphie 6, has been sent into retirement. Now, listen, this is no joking matter. You don't get to joke about Ralphie. Ember did not like to run. Her only job was to run. If anybody saw Ember run the Ralphie 6 at the bowl game where she tiptoed out for about 10 yards, you knew it was time to put her out to pasture and hang out for the rest of her life. Not to be killed or eaten, but to hang out. Although if there was ever a Ralphie that I might be okay with being eaten, it might be Ember. I take it back. That's rude. That's cannibalism. That's gross. The weird part about this is that the Buffs they do have a transition plan in place. The story behind the scenes is that the next Buffalo is young, rambunctious, full of energy, full of life, bigger than Ralphie 6, bigger than Ember. And I guess they just can't quite control her just yet. And so she's not ready to run on Friday night against Georgia Tech. To my knowledge, and I could very well be wrong, I think this is like the first time since like 1967 that the Buffs will have a home game where they don't run behind a Ralphie. So I'm bummed out about that. But it was definitely the right thing to retire Ember. Ember needed to go into retirement mode. She did not like her job. She refused to do her job. Let's go get ourselves a new Buffalo. But they're saying there's no timeline on when the new Ralphie is going to be ready to rock and roll. It's a live animal. You never know when they're going to be trained. You never know when they're going to be ready. Obviously, you could get skittish out there in front of 60,000 folks, and they don't want her breaking free. So, although it would be comical, and that would be far better than what we've had previously if we had a Buffalo break free. Blackout did that on her first run ever. You want to look up a funny video? Go look up on YouTube Blackout, Ralphie Blackout. That was Ralphie 5. Her debut run at the spring game. She breaks free from all of her handlers. All chaos breaks loose. It would be freaking hilarious on game day if that happened. But obviously very dangerous with the amount of bodies that are out there and the opponents on the other sideline. Not as easy to control as it was in a spring game situation. So they're trying to avoid that. But man, here's to hoping that we're not looking at an entire season of not running behind Ralphie at our home games, because that would be a major, major disappointment. I will be up there on Friday night. Looking forward to the Buffs play face off against Georgia Tech. It's a big game. It's a tough game. The Buffs are not favored. Georgia Tech is favored by 4.5 points. So Caden Salter, the transfer from Liberty, is going to get the start at QB. And Juju Lewis, your young 5-star recruit, who I believe is only 17 years old, might have turned 18. He is expected to at least get a series or two at some point in the game. So I guess they're planning on playing both their quarterbacks throughout the season, which makes a lot of sense. Look, Caden, he did a lot of good things out there at Liberty. He was a statistical monster. If you want to look up his stats, the dude crushed it at Liberty. He's got the vet experience. Let your young buck learn behind a veteran. And in an ideal world, get him out there in every game for a series or two and get him a little bit of experience, because that's really the only thing that he's missing right now. Okay, that's all I've got for you guys tonight on Mount Polumbus Speaks. If you guys have not subscribed, hit that link in my bio on X. Go on over to YouTube and hit subscribe. That's where all my content lives. I do not always do live broadcasts like I am tonight. Sometimes they just live only on the YouTube platform. So if you like my content and don't want to miss out, once the season comes around, I'll do film breakdowns. I'll do offensive film. I usually only do the offensive film. Offensive line breakdowns. I'll do highlights. I'll do lowlights. All of the above. We do live watch parties. We have a lot of fun once the season begins. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that content, make sure you go subscribe over on YouTube, and just know you'd be doing me solid also. So if you appreciate it, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I'd be very grateful if you take 3 seconds out of your day to go over on YouTube and hit subscribe. Skull Buff Steve, appreciate all you guys, and I will be back with you guys